Hello, 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 hello. I am so excited to be here live today with an expert that you all should know. Her name is Tina O'Banion, and she is the CFO boss. How are you doing today, Tina?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Terry.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to tell the people about who you are. And by the way, if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay in the comment section. But I want you all to know this powerhouse queen is going to be one of our speakers at the Attract Abundance Conference. Her company is one of our sponsors. And if you do not have your notebook and pen ready, go ahead and get your notebook and pen because she is going to be dropping some gems. Now, you have to listen to your bio before we ask any questions, okay? All right, you got to listen to me tell the people how great you are. So, who is Tina? Tina is a financial guru and best-selling author and the best-selling author of Falling Up with Grace, an entrepreneurial's journey to financial clarity. And she just published a new Amazon bestseller called The Clarity Code, the proven blueprint to financial clarity. With a career that spans roles like controller and CFO across industries, she has perfected the art of making finances work for entrepreneurs like us. A bold leader and dynamic change maker, Tina specializes in guiding business owners through mergers, acquisitions, and the financial strategies that drive growth, all while staying true to her core value of integrity. With a bachelor's degree in accounting from the University of Texas at Dallas and an MBA from SMU's Cox School of Business, I'm a Mustang too. She is as sharp as they come. Tina isn't just about crunching the numbers. She is on a mission to empower entrepreneurs to see their businesses through a crystal clear financial lens. Her passion lies in turning confusion into confidence, providing actionable insights that take companies from surviving to thriving. As a best-selling author, Tina knows how to blend personal experience with professional expertise, helping others navigate the challenges of business ownership with grace and clarity. Known for her approachable style, razor sharp strategies, and genuine care, Tina is the secret weapon every business needs to unlock its full potential. Her company, CFO Clarity, specializes in helping small businesses and mid-sized companies streamline finance, accounting, operations, human resources, and more to achieve measurable growth and efficiency. Their mission is simple: to help your business thrive while improving processes, reducing costs, and driving bottom line profits. Her company offers CFO services, finance and accounting leadership, operations excellence, human resources solutions, payroll and benefits administration, hiring and firing, employee handbook and policies, insurance and benefit management, and special projects. Whoa! This is a woman right here. What a woman. I introduce to some and I present to others. Tina, I'm so glad you are here, Tina. How was it reading your bio and hearing about how incredible you are on today? You are turning pink, Queen.
I'll tell you what, that is a long list of things, right?
Yes, yes. But
Not gonna
that's
keep
you.
them busy.
That's what you do. And I love what you do because we need what you do so much. And shout out to you for all the work that you do as a woman in finance. As women in finance, we do a lot.
Yeah,
We do
we
a
do.
lot. It is a male dominated industry. So if you
Yeah.
do not mind sharing with us as we're chilling, as we're laying back today, as we're getting to know more about you, tell us, how did you get started and what made you want to go into the accounting and finance field?
That's a great question. People ask me that all the time. Like, what made you start that? Well, I was brought up by a single parent, And, she, couldn't give us everything that we wanted. Right. So she taught me at a very young age, um, to save my money. And she would say, like, for instance, you want those designer jeans, you're going to have to pay up for it. So she would give me a budget and then I would have to buy up for that. She was a bookkeeper. She taught me the value of money young. And my first exposure to accounting was in high school and I loved it. I mean, I loved the fact that debits equals credit and like this crazy stuff that I learned in my first accounting class. I loved math, and I loved how it all worked together because it just made sense and it was simple. So I started my career. I moved out of the house when I graduated from high school, and I worked hard. And I worked hard to get. I went to school at night and on the weekends. And by the time I was 33, I had my accounting degree and my MBA. So I worked and went up the corporate ladder, being a controller and all these things. And I just fell in love with the profession. And then, when I went, I got to be the highest role, and that was the CFO in finance. And one day I just kind of got tired of it. I missed my kids. I missed my kids' games and band recitals and all those things because I was working, 60, 70 hours a week. And that's just not, a work-life balance that you really can sustain. Right. So my kids, I just decided one day I just kind of had enough. And so about 6 years ago, I said, you know what? I'm done working for the man. And I want to do this only because I had been working as a side hustle with many of my friends, or like, hey, could you do this? Could you help me out? I'm doing a startup. Can you help me out with business plans, my financial modeling, all the things? And so that's always been my side hustle since, over 25 years of doing that. So I decided it was time to go out and venture on my own. That's why I created TFO Clarity. So it stands for the financial office. We do everything from bookkeeping all the way to fractional CFO. And recently just published my Clarity methodology. So this little bad boy just went on the market. It's on Amazon by Tina O'Banion. And so this book and my workbook. So I have a workbook that kind of walks you through the Clarity methodology. And this is hot off the press.
Listen.
Hot off the press. So anyways, I wrote the book because I know that CEOs struggle with not only knowing their numbers, but they struggle with, understanding what the great CEOs do and their support that they have at their fingertips, right? So they have big staff, they have big team, they have huge accounting department, they have operations, they've got all these accountability partners. But as a small business owner, we don't have access to that. Most small business owners, they have a CPA to file their taxes every year. And that's probably when they look at their financial statements
For the first time.
For the first time, the only time during the year, like, months after the year has closed, and some of them have bookkeepers. They get the bills paid. They get they get the bills out the door, and that's it. They don't hardly look at their finances. And so over the past 6 years, I've seen this gap of more and more clients have reached out and started working with them. They just don't know. They look, okay, let me just call a spade a spade.
Let's be real. We're gonna be real here, okay?
We're gonna be real.
Let's look at this way. Really raw, Tina. Give it to us really raw.
Let's just be real. They know what's going on with their business because they know what's in their bank account. So they look on their phone, right? They go, oh, my bank balance is this. And that's how they make decisions, right? They make decisions on whether or not to hire someone or do this or do that. Most of them do. But what this Clarity methodology helps you understand is the foundation on knowing your numbers. A lot of people look at that that income statement, they go straight to the top line and they go straight to the bottom line. They're like, all right, I made some money this month, right? That's what they do. I'm going to be honest, especially visionary, creative, those type of CEOs. That's really what they're doing. And so they're really making decisions based off gut guesses and not data driven decisions, right? So I have decided to create this methodology that combines this foundation about knowing your numbers and then building upon that so that you have long-term sustainable success where you can thrive in business. And one of the things I also found is that a lot of business owners, they get stuck. They get stuck in like, oh, what's next? You know, what if they want to sell their business? What if they want to retire? You know, a lot of baby boomers are getting at that age where they're going to be retiring and they need to know like, okay, I need to either sell or have some sort of exit strategy. And so one of the things that we don't think about when we start our own businesses is we don't know what that exit should look like. Right? We don't know. We don't start our business at 50 years old and say in 15 years, by the time I'm 65, I want to sell it.
Yes, yes. Speak about it, Tina. That is it. Yes, speak about it. You are talking some good stuff on today. Speak about that, please. This is the time of the great wealth transfer. You said so many good things that I want to bring back to the forefront, but please tell us about the time that we're in where we need to be focusing on our future and what our exit strategy looks like. Why is it important for us to have a business succession plan? And what are some things that we should consider as we are planning for our financial future and our exit?
Yeah, that is a very great question. I mean, actually, in my book, I kind of go through this whole scenario where this entrepreneur, it's based on a fiction, but all the stories in here are true, right? So you got an entrepreneur that inherits the business. She runs it for a while. She has all these ups and downs, and she even finds embezzlement, all the things that I've seen in corporate America. It's just crazy. So, one of the things that she gets to is like, hey, you know, I'm 60 years old. I want to retire in 5 years. And she goes and tries to find an investor, a potential buyer. And she's bombarded with all this financial jargon, and she didn't understand what they were talking about because she only had a CPA and she only had a bookkeeper. But this story that I've embedded in this book is so true for many of us. We don't start our business and say, oh, I'm going to retire in 15 years. Oh, this is what I'm going to do. A lot of times, and you know this too, Terry, is that when we start our businesses, there's 1 in 5 chance that we're not going to see year 1. And then half of those people don't even see year 6. So yay me, 6 years.
I will hit 6 years this year too. Been full time, full time in my business, 6 years.
Yes, that's amazing.
2019 was a very big turning point in our lives.
Yeah, so we beat the odds, right? So may the force be with us, you know. But anyway, so I think that when we start our business, we should have an end goal in mind, right? And it could be many, many, many years out, but we always want to build shareholder wealth, shareholder value, right, in our businesses, right?
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Back it up, please, Queen. This is so good. Please back it up. You said shareholder wealth. What is shareholder wealth? Can you go deeper into that terminology, please?
Well, okay. So shareholder wealth is the equity in your business, right? It's the equity that you have retained in your business over earnings, over your, say you have investors, it's bringing wealth to that. So your equity on your balance sheet so your balance sheet starts from the day you start your business, and it goes with you and carries with you through the eternity of your business. And you want your equity to be positive versus negative, right? So you want to treat your business as a completely separate entity than your personal. Right. So you've got some, you'll be surprised. Many small businesses mingle some of their personal stuff in there, Oh, well, I'm just going to go shopping at Nordstrom's Rack and I'm going to go buy some clothes and just put that on the, no, that's not how this works. Right. So you want to bring shareholder wealth and value to your business. Without that, your business isn't really worth anything. So when you go to sell it, it's not going to be worth what you think in your mind is. Every business owner thinks their business is worth so much more than it really is.
Yes.
So
This is so good. I will be honest, I've never heard the terms together. Shareholder wealth. Like, this was the first time I've heard those two terms together. I know what it is, but when you said it, I was like, yes, that's it. And that's how we should be operating our business and building our business, not just building business to pay bills today, not just to hit an income goal so that we can compete or compare ourselves to the next CEO, but we should really be building our business so that it is sustainable, and we're not just building generational wealth, but we're building shareholder wealth. Oh, that was so good. What else should we be doing if we do want to retire wealthy? Because that's the theme for this year. Yeah. Attract abundance and retire wealthy. So if we want to retire wealthy and we want to position ourselves to be able to one day sell our company for multiple millions of dollars, what are some other things that we need to pay attention to and some other things that we need to have in place?
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Really. My gosh. I think it's taking a step back. I think we as CEOs, we get so busy in the day-to-day operating the business. And I think one of my tips is to set aside time to really focus on your financials. Right. Understand what they're saying, because your income statement tells you a story. Your balance sheet, if your balance sheet is wrong, your income statement is wrong. And people don't realize that. They just don't understand the connection. Well, why is that there? I didn't know that loan I paid off years ago. Why is that sitting on my books? What? Like, do you ever look at this thing? Really not. Clearly, you do not. It's like, hello, what do you mean that loan is gone? Like, you paid that off. Well, it's still sitting there. But anyway, so I think really taking the time, and I called it in my master class that I'll be teaching in my workbook. It teaches you this. Set aside a Money Monday routine. So on Mondays, you sit back, you look about what's going on, you look at your sales, you look at this, you look at that, and you really take the time to fully understand. So many entrepreneurs, one of the reasons why these entrepreneurs don't make it to year 5 or don't even see year 2 is not because they had a bad idea. It's because they run out of money, right? They just simply run out of money. They're making these gut decisions based off the gut instincts, that they're really not making data-driven decisions. I was speaking to someone earlier, and it's like, if you're producing this little bitty elephant, right? This elephant may cost you $5, but you're selling it for $10, but you could still be losing money. And it depends on how you put your cost of goods sold to create this little guy. There's so many tips and tricks that you can learn and uncover to know whether or not you're pricing this line of service, this product line. Is that product line making money or not? Am I losing money? Why am I losing money? Why am I, like all of these things? It's all how you look at your business. I was speaking to someone the other day, and it was really interesting. This lady said to me, she said, I take pride in not raising my prices in 15 years. I'm like, what, are you stupid? I'm like, why Why do you take pride that you haven't raised your prices in 15 years? Are you making any money? And she's like, no, we're really
She
not
needs
making any
she needs
money.
some new friends. She needs new friends.
I'm like,
Like
what do you mean?
you need new friends because you need to tell me in 15 years no
You
one
haven't raised
encouraged you to
that.
raise your prices.
No. And that's not something, but your prices, your cost, your this is going up and up and up. And imagine that 15 years. Come on, guys, let's get real, right? Your prices go up. You're paying your contractors, you're paying your people, you're paying them more. It doesn't make sense. It's you're losing a losing game, or you're not winning a losing game, whatever you want to call it.
Yes,
But
no, I get it. I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially as business owners who are women, we have a big heart and we want to serve and we want to focus on just giving people what they need. But we forgot that we have to put the mask on ourselves first. So if we don't want to go out of business, if we don't want to file bankruptcy, if we don't want to have financial issues, we have to price ourselves at a point in which it makes financial sense. We
right.
have to. And we have to stick to those financial boundaries. Sometimes people overgive and overextend, and then they look up at the end of the year and they're like, I didn't hit any of my financial goals on my vision board. And it's because they did not have good boundaries. I have a question for you, Tina, because you manage millions. You have been managing millions, and you work with multiple 7 and 8 figure business owners. So I want to ask a question from what you've seen from helping these individuals and these corporations and these entities. What have you seen people struggle with before they got to have a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 figure business? What have you seen them struggle with early on that could have made it easier for them to have made less expensive mistakes? I believe that if you have bad habits, making more money is not the solution. You have to fix the habit. And so your mistakes become more and more expensive the more money you make. So can you give us an example of a mistake or something that people do when they're building their way up, or they're on their way to having a 6-figure business, they're on their way to having $1 million business, and if they had fixed it earlier, it would have cost them a lot less than it costs them now as a 7, 8, 9-figure earner?
Well, I've seen it many times. Is they don't. I mean, I hate to say, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. Number one, they don't look at their numbers. Number two, they don't set those goals. And let's say you're about to, you're contemplating, do I rent or do I buy? It could be a utility truck. It could be, anything like that. Do I rent or do I buy? Well, I've sat down with entrepreneurs and said, okay, let's look at what you've got. Let's look at your cash inflows. Let's look at your business. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. And then, you assess that based on the facts, logic, and data, right? That you have about historical. And then the future, if you're going to buy, my conversation was regarding a mold, for whatever they're producing. Right. So a mold costs about $40,000. And I'm like, okay, so the question is, should they pay for the $40,000 mold? And I said, well, what is the benefit? What's your return on investment? If you buy the $40,000 mold, what would that do to your product cost? How much it cost you today without that mold? It's the cost benefit analysis. Like, what is it doing now? Yes, you're only seeing the $40,000 price tag. It's because people don't know how to think about it in the way that is more than just the 40,000. It is, what's it going to bring? When are you going to be able to return that investment dollars and turn that into real earnings, right? Can you support the $40,000 cost right now? And if you can't, what is your what it, do you need to finance it? Do you need a loan? You know, when a good time it is. When is the best time to get a loan is
When you don't need it.
when you don't need it, folks. It's not when I'm desperate. I've got 10, I've got $10 in my account. I need some money now. That doesn't work that way, right? Or robbing Peter to pay Paul, or like you're taking money that is right, that's being I'm using for something else. I'm using that money to support the current. Anyways, there's so many things I could go on and on and on, but I think getting a loan, understanding your finances, making sure your balance sheet balances, and making sure that it ties to things, and making sure that that is being looked at instead of ignored, and then really assessing the bigger, broader picture, right? So,
That's really good.
so one of the things too is, measure what matters, right? And I think we lose track of, well, the bottom line is always going to be the bottom line, no matter how I look at it. No, that's not true. If you have direct labor costs in your salaries and wages, that's not in your direct labor, direct cost of goods sold, you're looking at your margins all wrong. See this little guy? This little guy could be costing you a whole lot more money than $5 because you're not including the direct labor costs to produce this, right?
The elephant in the room.
You gotta paint the little fingernails. You gotta paint all the little toes and the eyeballs and all that stuff. Anyways, I just love this little guy. He's so cute. I collect elephants. But I think it's just like assessing. You don't want to get into analysis paralysis, but you also want to measure what matters, right? Really take a good think about what you're doing, right? See, some people don't measure anything, and some people measure so much that you're never going to get, they're tracking the every $50 when in fact you need to be making sure you need to be tracking the 10,000 or the 1,000, or, not tracking, but making sure that you're focused on the right things at the right time in your business.
Right. I'm glad you said it that way, because one thing that many business owners do is they try to do everything, and they become the chief everything officer instead of the chief executive officer. Can you speak
Right.
to the importance of outsourcing some of these financial obligations, like having someone that can actually look at your numbers and help you analyze those numbers and make data driven decisions so that you can focus on the main thing, which is bringing the money in? Can you please
Yes,
speak
that's
about
right.
that?
Yeah, I 100%. And actually, so my workbook, I don't know if people can see this, says for CEOs to lead like a CFO boss. This is to help them understand the foundation of what you should be doing. But at the end of the day, chief everything officer does include being a chief financial officer. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to look at them. You got to set goals. You got to have action plans. You got to have budgets. You got to do all these things to make sure you're on track to your ultimate goal, which is your exit strategy, right? And so I teach you all that. But one thing I think is that you don't have to be you don't have to be an accountant. You don't have to be in the weeds with all that. You hire good talent to handle your HR, to handle your finances, to handle, hey, it's budget time. October is when we start getting rocking and rolling with all my clients on the budget. It's budget time. Let's go. OND, October, November, December. It's budget time. So
Budget time. I'm keeping that in mind. It's budget time. October is budget time.
October's budget time. Start thinking about your budget. Start thinking about all the things. But I think what we do is we offer a service that I found a void and you and I both live in Dallas, right? I found a void where there are a lot of fractional CFOs out there, right? There's a lot of them. They're older gentlemen, I gotta say, in this space. And they don't really, they're relying on financial data and information that is maybe not right. It, because not accurate, because they may not be looking at it, making sure that the accountants, the bookkeeper. So I've come up with a 3-layer approach: bookkeeper, controller, CFO. All my clients get this within their realm, what they can afford. Now, I typically work with 7 figures or higher, and that's why I wrote this. And I have a master class that's coming out. But so I wrote this so people could actually learn from the greats. Big multi-billion-dollar companies are using some of the techniques that are in here.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. So I'm going to say what you said. And by the way, if you're watching, put a hello, hi, this is good. Thank you, ladies. Something in the comment section. I saw Marquise is watching, and I saw Dr. Jen is watching. I don't know who else gave us thumbs and hearts, but we thank you. I want to repeat what I heard. So you said, because somebody may not know this, okay? We have some of the most brilliant people who are part of the Business Women Building Wealth community. They have all of these degrees, but the truth of the matter is you can be a surgeon and still not understand accounting, right? So what I heard you say was that you need a bookkeeper, a controller, and a fractional CFO. Or those are the levels to it. They're not all the same person.
No, they're
Why
not. Huh?
Why not? Why should,
Well,
if you can afford all 3, why should you see those 3 people as having 3 different roles?
okay. So the bookkeeper pays the bills, makes sure that the bills are getting paid. They make sure payroll is being processed on time. They make sure that you're invoicing your customers. They're doing all the things on the daily transactions. They just handle all the transaction. If you think of it as like a triangle, like a triangle, the bottom layer is all transactional. So this is what the bookkeeper does. Your controller then makes sure is overseeing what the bookkeeper is doing, making sure that the information, that categorization is matching the budget. So you have a budget. And, I've seen this time and time again. You've got software expense, you got dues and subscriptions, and you got another category that could be software, but it's in 3 different locations. But where did you put the budget? You put subscriptions like Microsoft and all these different subscriptions in this bucket called subscriptions or whatever. But if the bookkeeper's doing it wrong, your budget is going to misalign with what you budgeted in those buckets, right? So your controller puts financial statements together. It makes sure that all of the things on your balance sheet are reconciled. Meaning if you've got a loan for, let's say, a vehicle, and you go to Toyota Financing Services, you go to that financing services and you pull down that statement to make sure the interest and the principal are recorded correctly and that it ties to that statement. Same thing with the bank and your credit cards and all the things. So you kind of have an oversight, making sure your finances are actually accurate. Remember what I said, if your balance sheet's wrong, your income statement's wrong. That's no joke, right? So they go in and do that. They pull the finances together, and then your CFO, they get together and with the CEO, the investors I do board meetings. I go to board meetings. And I present financial statements on a quarterly basis to several boards I'm on. Okay. So those, the CFO is more strategy. I call myself a financial strategist, right? And I say that with love because I am a big picture person. I can look at things and say to the lady that was like, I haven't raised my prices in 15 years. I'm like, how's that working for you? Are you broke yet? Because I can guarantee you're probably not making any money. But anyways,
Yes.
Yes, she really was. Well, I'm like, oh my goodness. But anyways, I think the very big picture, the forward thinking. So all of that thing, all the CFO does is really strategy. It's measuring what matters. It is looking at goals and objectives and key results that you're trying to accomplish in the next 60 days, 90 days to a year, those type of things. Um, it tells it CFOs tell the truth to the CEOs, like, hey, this line of business, this elephant might be cute, but it's not bringing you any money. Those type of things. What
Yes,
was she?
that's really, really, really good. And I have like a ton more questions I want to ask you. But of course, people got to get their tickets to the conference. We can't give them
Yeah.
all the good stuff. Can't give them all the good stuff. There was one thing though I want to highlight for people. You said I work with seven-figure business owners. However, if you do not have a seven-figure business, you can still get my strategies. You can get my expertise if you buy my book. And I have
Yeah.
a workbook for you. Ladies and gentlemen, she has said, I may not be able to help you now, but I'm going to give you enough help so when you do get to making seven figures, you're ready. If that's not a strategy, I don't know what it is. I hope you are taking notes. I'm not going to tell y'all anything else that I picked up on this call until we get to the Attract Abundance Conference. If you have not gotten your tickets, our theme for this year is Attract Abundance and Retire Wealthy. This queen has said several times, we want to make sure we're not just making money. We want to make sure that we have enough money to build sustainable wealth. Shareholder wealth is what she said. We want to make sure that we can sell our company for millions and multiple millions of dollars. We want to know the worth. We want to know the net worth. And truth be told, y'all, there are people who make 300,000, 500,000, 4 million in their business in terms of like revenue, but they don't take home that much. So they're still living cell to cell, paycheck to paycheck. It's a sad day to be making millions of, or your business to be making millions of dollars, and you are still not able to build wealth. So if you know that is you need to be in the room at the Attract Abundance Conference because we have these conversations. We're not just teaching you how to make money, we're teaching you how to build wealth. Before we leave, Tina, tell us, how can we find you? How can we hire you? How can we get your book? How can we connect with you, Tina?
Great. So you can connect with me by going. You can do Amazon, and it's the Clarity Code, and it's by Tina O'Banion. That's Obanion. And there's a lot of Clarity Codes out there, but it's the one with my beautiful picture. And
Yes, I love it. I love the cover. I love the picture. I love the cover. I love that it's you.
and this is the workbook. And so they're on sale right now for $12.19 each. They're normally $20. And so I encourage you to go out there and get them today or tomorrow, but go out there and get them because they're on sale, because this is my first week launching these books. And then if you want to get a hold of me, you could text the word numbers. That's the word numbers to 26786. That's numbers to 26786. And you'll get a free gift from me on the Clarity methodology. And there'll be more to come about my masterclass. My masterclass is coming where I really do. I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs. I know that I'm missing, there's the gap between where you're at six figures and you're not quite at seven. And the seven figure and above is what we normally bring on. But I want to give the opportunity for them to learn this methodology because I think it would set them up for huge success in the future. Right.
Yeah.
So, and you can go to my website, TFO, the Financial Office Clarity. It's TFOclarity.com. And you'll be set. You can also, So that's it. I got, 3 ways. And I hope you get the book because honestly, and write me a review. I mean, guys, being an author is really, really, really tough. and getting it out there. You got to have reviews. And I'm just like, that's why it's on sale this week, because I really feel like I just would love someone to really read this book. If you're a fiction, but all the stories in that book is so real. And then buying the workbook, you can follow along and like create and understand the journey that this entrepreneur goes through. So
Yes. Well, you know what? What I did last year for the VIPs, I actually blessed them all with the book.
yeah,
I purchased Dr. Cozette's book on abundance. So last year, everyone who got a VIP ticket, they got a book.
well,
I'm going
I
to
can do-
purchase books for the VIP guests,
that's
for
good.
their VIP bags at the Attract Abundance Conference. So if you have not gotten your ticket, there are 2 VIP seats left, and it is going to include the book. There you go, Tina. I got you.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it
Absolutely.
because we need this information. We
We
need
do.
this information for ourselves and for our clients. What we have to understand is the more valuable we are to our clients, the better our relationships are going to be with them. So when we read something that's good, we say, well, shoot, that's good. I'm going to give it to somebody else, and I'm going to give it to somebody else, and I'm going to give it to somebody else. So that's how we continue to circulate the money and circulate the wealth. So thank you again for being here. Thank you so much for being one of our silver sponsors for the Attract Abundance Conference. And I've seen you like move and shake and twist. I'm like, I can only imagine what you're going to do on the dance floor. Look, you're ready. Like, yes. You are ready. You're ready to cut a rug. Listen, y'all, I am going to interview our DJ one day, and you are going to see we are going to have a fantastic time. We are going to get down to business. We're getting down to the numbers, but we are going to get down on the dance floor. We have a gala on Saturday night, and even at the Attract Abundance Conference, we are going to make sure you have fun the entire time. So if you have not gotten your ticket, if you are out of town, fly in. We have women flying in from out of the country. So if you are up the street, down the road, like you have no excuse. You have no excuse. You know what's weird, Tina? I was telling somebody this the other day. People in Dallas think that Fort Worth is far, and people in Fort Worth think that Dallas is far. And if I say, oh, my event is in Frisco, and someone lives, like, I don't know, in Cedar Hill or DeSoto, they're like, oh my gosh, that's far. And I'm like, but I have people coming from London to the Attract Abundance Conference.
Yeah.
I have someone coming from Turks and Caicos coming to the Attract Abundance Conference. I have someone coming from California to the Attract Abundance Conference. I have someone who's originally from the Virgin Islands coming to the Attract Abundance Conference. So please tell me
Why?
is far from
Yeah.
Frisco. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I don't know.
If they miss out, they're gonna miss out.
They're gonna miss out. Yeah, but I think this is going to be a great time for everyone to kind of like think with that wealth mindset. And some of this is a mindset change for the people that are attending. It's a mindset. It's like, you mentioned earlier about, what do you tell people that, that they have bad habits? Well, we got to break those habits. We got to think about wealth in the back of our minds, right? Retiring or doing all these things. And what do you want to do when you retire? You want to travel or own a home in a different country, do all these things. You've got to work on it today so that you can get to that wealth in the future, right? So anyways, it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to be on stage with you, Terry. And I'll have a table. I'll have some swag for the event. So you guys come on out. Let's do this.
Yes, let's do this. It looks like Stacia Owen said hello. Thank you for watching, Queen. If you all are watching the replay, put #replay. If you know someone needs to see this video, tag them on it or share it with them. Share the wealth, share the knowledge. Let's attract abundance and retire wealthy together. Thank you again, Tina. And I will see you again very soon. Right. Adios, everybody. Oh, bye-bye. I forgot. I am so sorry. I forgot to introduce myself. Let me not close out this live without introducing myself. My name is Dr. Terry Alford. I am known as a women's wealth strategist, and I specialize in helping business owners build wealth and financial freedom. so that we can live, lead, and leave multi-million-dollar legacies. There we go. All right. Thank you. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.